Destructuring. What is it and how do we use it? That's what I'm going to cover in today's video. So let's say here, this is a to-do list that I've created and I've just called it array, but I want these values to have an importance. So I want my most important value to be the first one in that list. So when I extract it, why just pull the value array zeros when I could instead just come along and say that important task equals array, and notice that that is wrapped in these brackets, much like you would with your array. And then I'm going to console.log that. And notice that the task that we get returned is taken straight from the array. It's the first value. So we get returned walk the dog. If I came in and said second task, and then I popped in second task, then we get the second task, because now I'm extracting both of them in order. So the first thing that's extracted is allocated to here, and I can name it whatever I want. And the second thing I can pull out and name whatever I want, and the third, etc., for as many times as you need to. Of course, this isn't always viable, but it's a great way to give some of your values that you're pulling out of your array more meaning and make them easier to access as you go further on into your application. There's a similar method when it comes to objects, so I'm just going to create an object here, something very simple. Const object equals, we've got our curly braces, and let's say name is Dave, hobbies, code. If I could type today, that would be brilliant. YouTube is code with Dave. And so, as before, we have an object or an array to start with, and now how do we normally get things out of here? Now, if I want to access a value within an object, I'm always going to have to use the name of that value. So I'm going to have to use name, hobbies, or YouTube in this example. However, what we would normally do is come along and multiple times over we would have to reference these values. So we would be saying, and the way that we grab them is by saying it's object.name, and we get Dave, or I can say object.hobbies. But if I needed this multiple times within my application, it would be nice if I could simplify this down somehow. And the easiest way to do this is, instead of always referencing the parent object, we can actually extract these values straight away by saying const, and this time same as before but with curly braces, so the object brackets, and we can say name, hobbies, and YouTube, and that equals object, because that's the name of my object up here. I've named it object, so that is what we are referencing, and we are pulling these values out, and it doesn't matter what order we put these in, because on this occasion these will always be pulling the matching name. Whereas with an array we were giving names because they don't already have them, we were allocating new identities to our data that we were pulling out. This time we are actually using the same references, so these values will be called name, hobbies, YouTube, and then if I just come in here and instead I say console.log hobbies, and the page reloaded, and now we get a new version of code. Just to prove that, because it was a bit hard to see. Yes. I'm just going to console.log YouTube this time, and we get code with Dave. And of course, you might want to rename these, in which case we can actually say And then we can actually instead say we are pulling out this name, but we are going to give it a new name of username. So we're still pulling name from our object, but we're now going to allocate it the variable name of username. So similarly, I could do that with hobbies. Instead of hobbies, let's just use another word and say interests. And we now have interests. Hopefully that's helped you understand a little bit of destructuring. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below, just down here. And of course, as usual, I'm going to ask you kindly if you could like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I shall see you guys in the next video.